You know that feeling when you're trying to get somewhere, you've got a destination set, but then bang, something unexpected just messes it all up.
Oh yeah, like a road suddenly closed,
Yeah.
or you realize that place is like way further than you thought.
Exactly. We've all been there. And that's kind of what jumped out at me from the material you sent over.
Right.
On the surface, it looks pretty straightforward, Ray. It's lesson 23, absolute beginner S1 Indonesian course called This Indonesian Taxi is on the Road to Nowhere.
Catchy title?
It is. But honestly, this simple lesson, it takes us down some really interesting cultural roads, you could say.
It's amazing how often that happens, isn't it? You start with the basics, vocabulary, grammar, and suddenly you've got this little window into, a much deeper cultural context.
Totally. So today, we'll look at the words, but our real mission, I think, is figuring out why. Why this taxi driver in Yogyakarta seems, so limited. Why he can't just go where the passenger asks.
Right. What's really going on there?
Okay, let's jump into the actual dialogue. So we have Eddie in English, and he wants to go to Pasar Beringharjo. Pretty well-known place, I gather.
Yeah, it seems like it. He asks the driver.
And the response is just, Malag bisa pergi ke sana. Flat out, I can't go there.
Which immediately makes you pause, doesn't it? Like, why not? A taxi should be able to go there.
Right. It's odd. So Edie asks why.
And the driver says, Jalannya putus. The road is broken up.
Which adds this slightly, dramatic feel to what should be a simple taxi ride.
Definitely. The road is broken up. It makes you wonder, is it a huge sinkhole? Or just, some minor road works he doesn't want to deal with?
Yeah, and Edie's reaction is just in there.
Yeah.
Strange. Which honestly feels pretty spot on.
Totally captures it. So Edie pivots. Okay, different place then. How about Kota Gera?
And again, Nadak Bisa can't go.
This time with a different reason, though. Terlalu Joe, too far.
Right, so first the road's broken, now it's too far. You can kind of feel Edie's frustration building at this point.
Oh, absolutely. He basically asks, Bisa pergi kemana? Like, okay, where can you actually go?
Come give me something.
Exactly. And finally, the driver offers a destination. Bisa ke Keraton. I can go to the Keratons.
Sultan's Palace.
Yeah.
A major landmark, sure, but...
But Edie's already been there, so he politely says no thanks.
And you're just left hanging, wondering about this driver. Was it just a bad day? Or is there something more systemic about getting around?
It does feel like this specific taxi has like a very limited route map programmed in.
Seriously, okay, let's look at some of the language itself. We got ane, strange. Pasar, that's traditional market. Like Pasar Beringharjo.
And that informal no undak. That's interesting.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, the lesson notes actually mention it. Indonesian has several ways to say no, and they vary a bit by region and formality.
Okay.
So undak is pretty informal. They mention tak as maybe slightly less informal, and also
So different flavors of no.
Pretty much. Apparently, undak is common in Bali, while imgak might be more widespread. It's a good reminder that Indonesian isn't just one monolithic thing, lots of regional variation.
That's easy to forget when you're just starting out grabbing basic phrases.
Definitely.
Another key word here seems to be bisa. It means can or be able to.
Right, and the notes point out it's quite flexible. It works like an auxiliary verb, a helping verb.
Like in endak bisa pergi ke sana, I can't go there.
Exactly, but it can also stand on its own if the action is obvious from context.
Ah, okay.
The examples they give are like, bisa pergi ke hotel, can you go to the hotel? And then the shorter version, bisa ke hotel.
Understand to the hotel, basically.
Yeah, but it means the same thing. The go is just implied, saves a word.
Makes sense. So the language gives us some clues, some nuances, but the really interesting stuff, I think, comes when we look at the places Edie wanted to go. Pasar Bering Harjo and Kota Gede.
Yes, because these aren't just random spots on a map, they have cultural weight.
Okay, so Pasar Bering Harjo, what's the deal with it?
Well, the notes describe it as one of the biggest traditional markets in Yogyakarta. Huge place.
Right.
And it has this really specific, fascinating feature. A bird market section.
A bird market, like selling pet birds.
Exactly. People buying and selling songbirds.
Okay, that sounds quite specific. Why songbirds? Is that a big hobby?
It's more than a hobby, apparently. This is where it gets really culturally deep. The lesson explains that in traditional Japanese culture, owning a songbird is considered one of the 5 essential material things a proper Japanese man should possess.
Get out. Really? What are the others?
A house, a wife, a horse, or nowadays, maybe a vehicle and a caress.
The Karis. That's the wavy dagger, right?
That's the one. So a house, a wife, a vehicle, a dagger, and a songbird.
Wow. Okay, that puts the bird market in a whole different light. It's not just about a nice sound, it's tied to status, tradition, identity.
Precisely. That's a huge cultural insight packed into why someone might visit a specific market. It connects language learning directly to these deep cultural values.
That is fascinating. A simple taxi direction suddenly unlocks this whole layer of Japanese tradition.
Exactly. And then there's the other place Edie asked about, Kodagade.
What about that one?
The notes say it's a neighborhood, kind of on the outskirts of Yogyakarta, and it's famous for silver working, silver crafts.
Ah, so another place with a specific character known for a particular craft, potentially important for locals or tourists interested in that.
Right, another significant destination, not just a random street corner.
Okay, so let's circle back to Edie's taxi trouble. Knowing now that Pasar Bering Arjo is this major hub with this culturally significant bird market, and Kodagay is this center for silver, does that help explain why our driver might have been reluctant?
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? Maybe the driver wasn't really equipped or used to going to those slightly more specialized areas.
Like maybe he sticks to a main tourist circuit or a very local neighborhood route.
Perhaps. Maybe Jalan Putus, the road is broken, wasn't a massive highway closure, but like a specific side street he usually takes to get towards the market area was blocked, and he didn't know another way.
Could be. And Talalu Jiao, too far for Kodagiri. Maybe it was just outside his usual zone of operation, or he wasn't confident navigating there.
It raises questions about how transport works there. Is it all seamless, or are there these sort of invisible boundaries or limitations depending on the driver or the type of service? Maybe it's more geared towards very local needs sometimes.
It makes you think about the everyday logistics, doesn't it? The realities of just getting from A to B in Yogyakarta. There might be unwritten rules or local knowledge that an outsider like Edie just wouldn't pick up on immediately.
Yeah, this very brief, slightly frustrating exchange suddenly feels like a tiny snapshot of navigating daily life there with all its potential complexities.
It really does. It shows how even a super basic interaction, trying to get a taxi, can be loaded with unspoken cultural stuff and, practical hurdles. So I guess the big takeaway here isn't just like Indonesian vocabulary for beginners.
No, not at all.
It's how this little lesson, Road to Nowhere, actually opened up all this other stuff. Hints about transport issues, those regional ways of saying no.
And those really fascinating Javanese traditions around markets, songbirds, status symbols.
Yeah, all from a simple dialogue about not being able to get a taxi to the market or the Silver District.
It's a fantastic example of the richness hidden in, well, what looks like simple language material.
It really is. It makes you wonder, though, what else is hiding in plain sight?
How so?
Like, how many other basic conversations or bits of learning material from other cultures hold these kinds of unexpected insights? Clues about how people live, what they value, things that aren't obvious on the surface.
That's a great point. What other hidden meanings are embedded in just everyday chat everywhere?
Exactly. It's definitely something to chew on maybe next time you're traveling or even just flicking through a language app.
Yeah.
What's really being said.
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.